Hello everyone, thank you for attending today and welcome to this educational presentation of a simple technique that will change the way you trade. Now I'd like to start off by sharing with you what has been my experience in 4 decades, how most people decide to get into a trade or into some type of investment. And I'm saying this from firsthand experience because when I first started trading some 42 years ago, I did the same thing. Let's, for example, take a look at some news that was reported last year. It's a little bit older, in past August, about 5 or 6 months ago, but it's very pertinent to what I'm going to be teaching you today concerning Apple. Apple becomes the world's first trillion-dollar company. So obviously, this is great news. Apple Chief Executive Tim Cook has a trillion reasons to smile. Exactly 9 months prior to this announcement, Apple became the first $900 billion company. And by the tech titan on Thursday, became the first company in the world to reach $1 trillion valuation. So this is obviously very, very good news. And just to show you how most people would react to this, as we see right here, when the news came out on this chart, most people would jump in and buy, figuring this is great news, $1 trillion company, the first of its kind. Obviously, you have to invest in this stock because it's going to be much higher years in advance. Well, sure, ultimately it would, but with the technique I'm going to be sharing with you today, you actually could have spotted in this pattern right here a chance to get in prior to that news, because this tool generated a high probability buy setup exactly 1 month before the news came out and before a 22-point gain could have been achieved prior to that. So this is going to be a great high probability setup I'll be sharing with you today, and exclusively you're going to be able to apply this on our platform. This is the PTS Primo charting platform, the educational portal that teaches you exactly how to listen to the market. So welcome to this presentation. Once again, my name is Steven Primo, president and founder of Specialist Trading. 10 years ago, I teamed up with Pro Trader Strategies, or sometimes you see it just with the initials PTS, and our only goal is simply to educate you. We feel that is the main thing that is really missing from most traders. And when we say that it's missing, it's actually confirmed by the statistics, because it's been estimated that 85% of all traders fail. Now, if what you're seeing and going to webinars and being taught and spending thousands and thousands of dollars is supposed to work so well, then why do the majority of all traders fail? It's our belief it's because they don't have the proper education. They're not making their decisions, so they're relying on someone or something else, such as the news, to make their decisions for them. But in my 42 years of trading, I found that there's actually no consistency in that. Because trust me, when I first started trading some 42 years ago, I did this exact same thing that many of you are doing right now. I was looking at volume, support and resistance, Fibonacci retracements. I was listening to what all the institutions were doing. In fact, I started my career on the floor of the stock exchange. I was on the Pacific Stock Exchange for a total of 16 years. 9 of those years I was a specialist. A specialist is someone who made markets in roughly about 50 or 60 stocks. So if you wanted to buy or sell a particular issue, you had to come up to the specialist who was making a market, specialized in making a market. So I had all this advanced information. I was privy to what all the institutions were doing. I knew where the orders were in my book. And guess what? I still couldn't make a dime. I was basically just treading water my first year of trading. And I was doing all the same things 4 decades ago that most of you are probably doing right now. I was lucky enough to have some mentors that taught me the first thing, how to listen to the market. And once you listen to the market, you'll see that just about everything you need to know is right in front of you, and you don't have to rely on these outside sources anymore. You don't have to spend $10,000, $15,000 on all these different courses or high yield indicators that are supposed to work tremendously that really fail the minute you start using them, okay? So when we provide you with education, our goal is to simply put the power back in your hands so that you can make your own decisions. And you'll see how much attention to detail I put in that concept today as showing you how you can make your own decisions using these specific tools and techniques. So this promises to be a great presentation. Once again, thank you for joining us. But before we begin, we are required by law to show this to you first. So please take a moment to view our disclaimer. I'm going to show you a lot of performance results today using this specific technique. But please remember that we can in no way guarantee that any of the results I'm about to share with you will be repeated in the future. And also, since we are an educational company, please remember that all examples are strictly for educational purposes only. So, as you're taking a brief moment to view our required disclaimer, once again, I'd like to take this time to invite each and every one of you, if you haven't done so already, to follow us on Twitter. You may want to copy down our handle right there, abbreviation for Specialist Trading. I post different information, educational information on a daily basis. A lot of signals that were generated by our strategies, a lot of different concepts and ways in which to trade are posted, as well as little bits of financial wisdom. So lots of great free educational information on a daily basis. Feel free to follow us on Twitter. Now, as I stated in the opening statements, we are first and foremost an educational company. Our only goal is simply to teach you how to trade. Now, since this is going to be conducted like a classroom, I want to take each and every one of your questions, but if we stop for every slide to answer a question, we'll be here far too long. I know you probably have other things in mind, so let's wait till the end of class to ask questions, okay? I promise I'll get to each and every one of them, but just write it down or try to remember it if you can. The only question I will answer right now is this being recorded? Yes, we record all of our webinars, so if you have to leave early, if you're having technical issues, don't worry. We will send each and every one of you a link to this recording. So we have a pretty good crowd here today on this Wednesday. So please remember, if you joined us late, wait to ask questions at the very end, okay? Now, once again, as I stated earlier, I've struggled tremendously my first year or two trading. Even though I had advanced information and I was on the floor and I saw where the orders were and I was dealing on a daily basis with the institutions, I was creating the volume myself, it didn't work. There was no consistency in using any of these things. I was very lucky because I had mentors on the floor who saw how much I was struggling. They saw that I was really putting in a lot of hard work, spending a lot of money to learn, and it wasn't really generating any positive results. So let me share with you what they taught me, and this is going to be the cornerstone to what we're going to be talking about today, okay? All right, so let us begin by what my mentors said to me. They said, Steve, the market is always telling you in advance what it wants to do. You see, I was always taught to listen to the news. I was always taught to listen to what the institutions were doing. I was taught to listen to what the volume was telling me, or whether there was some type of divergence in price. I was always taught to look at the Elliott wave or the Fibonacci retracements, and that was supposed to tell me what to do. But they said there's really no point in looking at those things because they're too subjective. How many times have you looked at support and resistance, and one trader will say, well, this is support, and someone else will say, no, this is the support, that's resistance. You see, we want things that are more cut and dry. And guess what? The market is. It's very cut and dry. The trouble is we just don't know how to listen because we've never been taught. Now, this is not something that's real metaphysical or far out. It's very simple. You just have to apply a few simple tools and a few simple ways in which to listen to the market. But you don't have to try and discern what the earnings mean, or you don't have to figure out who the CEO of the company is and what direction he's taking it, or you don't have to figure out what the institutions are doing. Trust me, I did that 40 years ago. It didn't work then. It's not about to start working now. It's too inconsistent. When I finally grasped the concept and I said, okay, I have to listen to the market. Well, how do I do that? They said, the good news is there's a tool that translates what the market wants to do. Because for many of us, listening to the market is like listening to someone speak a different language. It's too difficult. We've been trained the opposite way not to listen to the market. We want to listen to what some guy's saying on TV or what the earnings reports are, but we never want to focus on the chart, what in front of us. So we need a tool that can translate for us. You've heard about me speak about this tool because I've been using it for 4 decades now. That tool is the Pet Peeve. It is the most powerful tool I know of that translates what the market wants to do on a tick-by-tick basis. Now, when I was first introduced to this tool some 4 decades ago, I had to calculate it by hand. So we called it a different name then. It was called the formula because we had to figure out this formula, and it was very cumbersome. The formula is not that difficult, but it was very cumbersome to put together. Now, what we've done is take all the hard work out of it for you. We've made a proprietary tool out of the Pet Peeve, out of this formula. So let me share with you how we use it. This is the way most traders trade. We'll come to the conclusion that, wow, this is really going down, as we can see. There's no reason buying this, so I'm going to either get out of my position and sell with a loss, or maybe decide not to buy here. And if I'm more aggressive, I guess I'll buy some puts, or I'll decide to go short. So at this point, halfway down here, you say, okay, I'm going to go short, and this should make me a really good profit. And then this happens. and then you sit and watch it go all the way up, okay? So what if there were a tool that wouldn't necessarily predict tops and bottoms, because nothing really can do that consistently, but something that was an early trend detector that was able to tell us many times in advance when a trend had begun? Well, this is what the Pet D does. Remember, it's a formula that you have to calculate on a tick-by-tick basis. We've taken all that hard work out for you, and all we have to do is click on the Pet D on our platform, as you can see right here. Click on Pet D, and it automatically changes the colors. It's a color bar algorithm. Now, when you see a series of red bars, that means the trend is currently down. In other words, the market is telling you it wants to go lower. Once you see a series of green bars, it's telling you it wants to go higher. It's translating that. So the beauty of the Pet D, as you see here, is that it tells you which direction you should be trading. Now, once you know the direction, you can apply a number of Pet D trading techniques to that direction, because the Pet D has literally dozens, if not more, uses, ways in which to apply it. And one of the ways is to use it are with different techniques that are generated using specific patterns with the Pet D. Let me share with you one of those patterns today. This is the Pet D pattern technique we're going to be talking about that I strongly believe will change the way you trade. Okay? So let's look for buy setups. Okay? If we're looking to buy, we want to see that we're in an overall uptrend. And we tell you in the course how to determine what an overall uptrend is. Once you define that the overall trend is up, then you're going to look for 3 consecutive red bars. Okay? And this doesn't matter whether you're trading a stock, whether you're trading a future, a currency pair, a commodity. It doesn't matter if you're trading a tick chart or a monthly bar. It doesn't matter. But if the overall trend is up, you want to look for 3 consecutive red bars that are followed by a green bar. Okay? Now, let's say if we're looking to sell. Let's say if we want to go short. Okay? Well, now we have to define that the overall trend is down. We can never buy if the overall trend is down. We can never sell if the overall trend is up. So the overall trend must be down. Okay, so now we're going to be a seller. We can apply this with puts, with some type of spread strategy that has a bias to the downside, or we can go short the stock or sell the future. It makes no difference. Now what you want to see now is a series of 3 consecutive green bars in an overall downtrend, and then followed by a red bar. This is the setup either to go long or to go short. It's that simple. But let me share with you how powerful this technique is. Okay, so as we look here, an example in eBay coming into January, the technique discerned that the overall trend was up. Even though price was selling off on the short term, as translated by the Pet D, the overall trend is still up. So what we want to find is a series of 3 red bars followed by a green bar. And there we have it right here. 3 red bars followed by a green bar. Now when we say red, they do not have to be colored red, because these just mean that they're down days. Now you have an up day that is outlined red. This just simply means that the short-term trend is still down. Even though you have an up day, you can still have an up day in a short-term downtrend. So you want to see 3 red filled in or outlined bars and then followed by 1 green bar. This is your setup that you have a buyer's bias, that the bias may be to the upside. And eBay went up 9 points coming into this last week in February, okay? See how simple this is? And then you could apply it to any strategy you want, or you could have used that as your strategy. It's up to you. Here's another example in Apple. Remember we talked about this before? How did we know that Apple was going to take off prior to that news announcement? Well, we didn't know. Remember, this is not a predictive tool. We're just listening to the market. We're just listening to what the market is telling us. We have no idea how high or how low it will go. It just tells us which direction. So right here, through what we share with you in the course, you would have known that the overall trend was up. So if the overall trend is up, we're looking for 3 red bars followed by a green bar. So we click on the Pet D on our platform, and guess what? We have a series of red bars telling us the short-term trend is down. But since the overall trend is up, this is simply a pullback. Now we have 1, 2, 3 red bars followed by the first green bars. This is the setup we talked about. This is saying that the market is telling us it wants to go higher. All right? This is the pattern that is telling us it wants to go higher. Now you can actually, if you wanted to, you could have purchased Apple, you could have bought a call, or you could have gotten out of your short position. Whatever you want, how you apply it, it's up to you. Remember, we're not telling you how to trade, we're teaching you how to trade. And you can decide any way in which you want to do it. We're just giving you high probability translations as to what the market wants to do. And the market is telling us, it's actually screaming it wants to go higher. And as you can see, in the next month, it went up 22 points prior to that news announcement. I know someone would say, well, Steve, you guys must follow the news and you must follow the company and the earnings and the research about the company. You probably, through your research, came up with that analysis that you should be buying Apple for the long term. And I would say no, because it's not required to look at news. None of our strategies, techniques, or methods require any type of looking at news. In fact, I stopped looking at the news 4 decades ago, and I'm still here trading. So I'm living proof that it's not required at all. I don't look at the news. I don't listen to the news on TV. I don't know what half the earnings are a company's coming out. I really don't care, because the market tells me a lot of times in advance, as you see here with Apple, what it wants to do. So why would I wait for news to come out when I know in advance what the market's telling me? All right, another example here, QCOM. Okay, this was in the middle of January last month. The overall trend is down. Even though you have a series of green bars here, that's the short-term trend. Remember that Pet Peeve is discerning what the trend is on a tick-by-tick basis for the short term. The overall trend is still down. So we're looking for a series of 3 green bars. As you can see here, we have 3 outlined green followed by a red. This is the pattern. What is the market telling us with this pattern? It's telling us it wants to go lower. We have no idea how low. We just know it wants to go lower. So we just follow whatever the market wants to do. We're not predicting. And as you can see, the market went down 8 points coming into the end of last month, just about 3 weeks ago. Now, what about Facebook? This is an older chart in Facebook. As we can see here, we're kind of oscillating between red and green, red and green. But guess what? The overall trend is up. Through what we teach you in the course, you would have known that the overall trend is up in Facebook. So we're looking for a buy technique. That's 3 red bars followed by 1 green bar. So this is the technique I'm sharing with you today that was telling you Facebook wanted to go higher, 20 points in the next 3 weeks, okay? How about Pepsi, all right? Now, even though it looks like we're going sideways and the majority of the bars are colored green, that's just a short-term uptrend in an overall downtrend. You see, how many times have you seen the market bounce in an overall downtrend? That's all this is. So we're looking for the first red bar after a series of 3 green bars, and it's right here. So this was the market telling you to either get out of your long position, sell, go short, buy the puts, because the market is translating what it wants to do. Is this 100% correct? No. It doesn't work all the time. Nothing works all the time. So I don't want you to think this is some foolproof theory that never fails. But you have to understand that as trading, things do not work all the time. That's okay. You want things that are consistent. And this technique is extremely consistent. So we have 3 green bars followed by a red bar, 13 points to the downside in the following weeks. Let's look at another example here, VRSN. Now, the overall trend is up, so that means that this series of red bars was just a pullback, was just a sell-off. You want to see a series of 3 followed by 1 green right here. This is our pattern we're talking about. See, trading is really simple. You don't have to look at, do you notice that we don't have a ton of indicators? We don't have any volume here. We're not looking at the earnings. We don't have the support and resistance. There's no real consistency in those things. Take it from someone who traded that way 4 decades ago. I don't look at any of those things, and I'm still trading on a daily basis, so why should you waste your time? There's really no consistency. I remember my mentor said, Steve, it's amazing how many things there are that aren't. And that's what he meant by the market. There are so many things, conventional wisdom, that we've been taught that are supposed to work that really don't. And if they really work, ask yourself then, how well are you doing, okay? If these things work so well, why are you perhaps struggling? Why do 85% of all traders fail? It's because they really don't work. There's no consistency. You have to be in charge of your own trading. What we do is we provide you with high probability education, things that have stood the test of time so that you can be in charge, so that you won't have to rely on some silly course that cost you $10,000 that you really don't fully understand why it is supposed to work, because it hasn't worked yet. So we have the pattern here, 3 red bars followed by a green bar in an overall uptrend. VRSN goes up 20 points in the following weeks, okay? Let's look at another example here. This is RTN. This was in November coming into the end of last year, December. Now, even though we have a bounce, remember, this is a bounce in an overall downtrend. So what we're looking for are 3 green bars followed by a red bar, which is right here. This is the market. This is not me. I don't ever tell anyone what to do, how to buy or how to sell. I'm telling you what the market says. This is what the market is saying. I never have any ideas of what I think the market's going to do. People always ask me, Steve, what do you think the market's going to do? I say, I have no idea. I just follow whatever the market's telling me. The market wants to do this, I'll jump on board. So right here, the market's telling you it wants to go lower. So this is not a buying opportunity. This is a selling opportunity. And RTN fell 37 points coming into the end of the year. How about XLNX? This was in the beginning of January, end of the year, beginning of January, okay? Even though we're going lower to sideways, what we teach you in the course is that the overall trend here is up. We're actually in an overall uptrend. So you shouldn't be thinking, not even thinking at all about selling. I don't care what somebody says in a webinar. I don't care if some guy says, oh, the earnings are going to be terrible or you're hitting resistance. This is where all the institutions are selling. Don't listen to that. There's no consistency in that. Just listen to the market. And what's the market telling us? Well, we're in an overall uptrend and we have 3 red bars followed by a green bar. That's the pattern. That's the market, not me. Not some guy on TV, not some master, institutional course, but that's the market telling you it wants to go higher. So this was in the beginning of January, a little over a month ago. Stock is up 38 points coming into this past week, okay? Now remember, you could have either used this as a point of entry, or you could have said, well, since this is telling me it wants to go higher, I'll look for buy signals using my strategy as it's going up. There's a number of ways in which to trade it. The main thing is that you should make the decision. Not someone else, not me, not some guy on TV who tells you what to buy or sell. You should be making your own trading decision. How about Tiffany, TIF? Okay, this was the end of November coming into the beginning of the year. It looks as if the market's going sideways. Well, the overall trend is down. There are a number of red bars followed by a series of green bars. And someone would say, well, Steve, I thought you said if there's green bars, that's an uptrend. It's a short-term uptrend. Remember, this technique requires that we look at the overall trend first. And at this point, the overall trend was telling us it's down, okay? So we look at the short term. The short term, we want to find 3 green bars and then followed by 1 red bar, which is right here. So not me, but the market is telling you, I want to go lower. How low? We have no idea. But you can be in sync with the market once you know how to listen to it. And the market's telling you, in fact, it's screaming it wanted to go lower here in mid-November. 38 points to the downside, okay? Now let's look at Netflix. A high-priced stock, but it makes no difference. We can see the same pattern. We're in an overall uptrend, even though we have a series of red bars. Those are red bars in an overall uptrend. So this just means this is a short-term sell-off in an overall uptrend. So we look for 1, 2, 3 red bars followed by a green bar. Coming in to the end of January, up 90 points. You think you could have done well applying one of your strategies or something to the long side here? So what usually happens is people don't believe it, and when things start to go up, they sell. They go, oh, we're hitting resistance here. This is where the institutions are selling, so I've got to sell and get out too, or I've got to short it. That's the way 99.9% of traders trade, myself included, some 4 decades ago. It's much easier to just listen to the market and then jump on board. In fact, I always tell my students, that is your only job as a trader. It's twofold. The first one is to listen to the market, find out what it wants to do. And then the second thing is to jump on board. Pick some strategy, some technique to go in the direction of which the market wants to go. There's nothing you have to figure out in terms of earnings. There's no institutions you have to look at. There's no tons of indicators or some type of system you have to follow. It's really simple. We've never been taught to trade this way, though. We've always been taught to rely on what someone or something else is telling us. Well, I'm here to tell you that you don't have to do that anymore. It's a lot simpler, and you'll sleep a lot better at night trading this way. All right, let's look at some other markets and time frames, because I know we have a lot of stocks that we share with you, but I know not everyone trades stocks. So let's start off by looking at some older charts of the futures. Here's the E-mini future, an hourly chart. Even though it looks like we're going lower, once again, this is an overall uptrend. Okay, so an overall uptrend, we're looking for 3 red bars followed by a green bar right here. So had you used this as some type of buyer's bias, well, guess what? 25 points in the next couple of days. That would have been $1,250 per contract that you potentially could have captured. Now you can go to a smaller time frame. Let's look at a 5-minute chart. Even though it looks like we're going sideways, the overall trend is down. So if we're going lower, we want to see a series of 3 green bars followed by a red, okay? Now nothing much has happened, but then we see the pattern occur again. 3 more green bars followed by a red. So this is the market telling us that it really wants to go lower. And 8 points in the next couple of hours, or $400 potentially per contract. That's an hourly and a 5-minute chart of the futures. Let's look at the Canadian dollar on a 4-hour chart. Currency pair traders like to trade 4-hour charts. Okay, this looks like it's going higher, right? We're trending much, much higher, but actually the overall trend is down according to what we teach you, and we have a series of 3 green bars followed by a red. So this is telling us that the market wants to go lower. All right, most people would say, but Steve, you're heading higher. We're heading higher in an overall downtrend. How many times have you seen a 3 or 4 or 5 bar bounce prior to going much, much lower? That's what's happening right here. So we see 3 green bars followed by a red bar, 200 pips in the next couple of weeks, okay? Now that transfers out to roughly $2,000 per unit that you traded, that you potentially could have captured. That was a 4-hour chart of the Canadian dollar. Let's look at a daily chart of the euro dollar. All right, the overall trend is up. Do we have that pattern here? Yes, we do. We have 3 red followed by a green. So that's the market telling us, even though it looks like we're going sideways, we want to go higher. This is the euro dollar on a daily basis, 500 pips. That's about roughly $5,000 per unit. Once again, potentially you could have captured. Now there are dozens, if not hundreds, of these setups being generated on a daily basis. I mean, literally, you'll find them all the time. Plus, on top of that, there are different Pet Peeve techniques. I just shared one of them with you. There are literally dozens of different Pet Peeve techniques. Well, guess what? How does one find all of these? We have a great way to find them. We're introducing our new Pet Peeve Master Scanner. This is going to be able to scan for all of, not only this technique, but all the other techniques we have on the scanner. These are techniques that the Pet Peeve generates. So let me share with you what's available on this scanner. It identifies 10 individual setup patterns. I just shared one of them with you. It locates setups in all markets. We provide you with lists of markets for the S&P, the NASDAQ, currency pairs, Bitcoin, commodities, futures, and different markets. The DAX market, Indian markets, Toronto Exchange, tons of different data. It locates setups in all time frames. So if you say, well, Steve, I don't trade daily bars. Well, guess what? The scanner will scan for these setups in a 5-minute time frame, in an hourly time frame. It also locates setups in all directions. So if you like to go short more than you like to go long or vice versa, it doesn't matter. It will share with you both sides of the market. And the best thing about this is we designed it to be simple and it literally just takes seconds. You can basically scan for all of these using a market. It will take you less than a minute to get all of your setups for that night. And the only way you can do it is on our new PTS Primo charting platform. Let me share with you how simple it is because we specifically designed this, Pro Trader Strategies and myself, to make it as simple as possible. Here's what you do on our platform. All right, you go to the icons here at the very top, and this is the icon for the master scanner. So you just simply click that on and you'll see this page appear. All right. Now, first thing you want to do is hit load symbols to find out what you want to be scanning for. In this case, once we hit load symbols, we clicked on the S&P 100. All right, now we want to go over to all the different techniques. Now you can click on one, or if you want, you can check all strategies. In this case, we checked all of them. And now you simply hit scan. And in less than a minute, you'll see a series of green horizontal bars or red horizontal bars. Those are green or buy setups, red are sell setups. Now, I know a lot of you are saying like, well, yeah, this all seems okay, but you know, guess what? I've kind of figured out your pattern here, Steve. Well, let's recap to see if you always have. Because remember, the market, not me, or not some pattern that you think you may know, but the market always tells you in advance what it wants to do. So the tool we need to translate what the market wants to do is the Pet Peeve. That's the tool that translates what it wants to do. You've heard about me speak about it before, but it is a tremendous, tremendous tool. So you can't just guess your way thinking that you know how it works. The Pet D, along with the scanner for all this, will really increase your odds for being a consistent trader. Now, the Master Scanner identifies high probability setups that are based on numerous Pet D patterns. Remember, they're going to be applied to any market, any direction, and any time frame. And once again, I designed this with Pro Trader strategies to make it simple. I have a pet peeve about going to other platforms, and I've tried just about every platform you can think of. Trust me, I know the ones that I like and the ones I don't, and I specifically designed Pro Trader strategies to make it as simple as possible. I personally do not like to go to a platform and fumble around figuring out and take hours figuring out how to even load up a chart. And trust me, I've done that with some platforms. It's so convoluted and so difficult and so complicated. I think, why would anyone ever want to use this? Even though the charts may be great and after you figure out how to use it, it's just too complicated. We made everything as simple as possible on our platform. Now ask yourself, do you think this technique, which I just shared with you in all markets and time frames, and the scanner could have helped your trading this past year, or even going forward? Do you think it could help your trading going forward into 2019? Let me share with you a great discount we have for all of you in attendance and for taking time out of your Wednesday today. We're going to offer you our Pet D course that comes with different techniques along with the scanner. Okay, you're going to get instant course access, numerous Pet D trading techniques. This includes the add-on to change the colors. It also has 10 new proprietary Pet D master scans. This is on the scanner, okay? Now, a lot of people say, well, what do I use this for? Can I trade off this? Sure, you can add you can use the scanner and the buy and sell setups to add to your current positions. It also unlocks these hidden patterns so you can decide if you want to be in a trade, maybe you don't want to be in the trade after all, or maybe you were thinking about getting into something, and it generated one of the Pet D technique sell setups. So maybe you want to hold off and wait till a buy setup is generated, okay? Remember, you can apply to any market and time frame, and you're also going to get educational correspondence with yours truly. You can contact me via my personal email, and I'll answer you right away with any questions that you may have. Now, once again, I know a lot of you are probably saying, well, Steve, I've got this down already, okay? I kind of figured it out. As we look at this older chart in Amazon, you could say, well, Steve, okay, we're in an overall uptrend. I figure we're going up in this. And these most likely are red bars. Here's 3 red bars, and here's going to be the 1 green bar. So I don't need the Pet D or the scanner. I can pretty much find this on my own. And this is one of those setups, 3 red, 1 green. I'm sure if I had the Pet D, these bars would all be red, and this one would be green. Okay? Well, we have the Pet D. Let's see what those bars were. Because this is the pattern you're looking for, and look what happened. It didn't work. Why? Because if we applied the Pet D, you need 3 red bars followed by a green bar. Look at the first 2 bars. They were green. So this is not a valid pattern. This is not the pattern we were talking about and teaching you today. That's why it is imperative that you have the Pet D along with the scanner so that you know what you're trading. Now, is it guaranteed that everyone is going to work? No. You will have some failures every once in a while. That's perfectly okay. There will be losses. But what you want is something consistent that's able to recoup those losses. 2 steps forward, as I always say, 1 step back. Now, if you were able to have our master scanner along with a Pet D, you would have scanned, let's say, 2 or 3 weeks ago and seen that a setup on the 31st was generated in NEE. What do we have here? We have an overall uptrend, 3 red bars followed by a green bar, okay? Now remember, this is not a system, meaning that you have to take each and every trade, because systems require everyone to take the same trade, to trade the same way, and that's how you come up with statistics. Well, this is not a system. This is just a technique. A technique means that we're just pinpointing or highlighting a high probability bias that the market wants to take. It's not a trading system or a strategy. Those are full rules for entry, for exits, for stop placement. We haven't talked about any of those. So there's no statistics associated with this because this is just a technique. In order to have statistics, you need the same rules for each and every time. You need to be trading the same exact way, never faltering. Well, we don't teach nor do we trade systems. Remember, we want you to be in charge to make your own decisions. So we encourage everyone to trade differently. Now, some students would have said, well, listen, I'll buy in the close here. Others would have said, well, I want to place a limit down here. Others would have said, well, maybe I'll buy in the market on the opening. Everyone's going to have a different way, and we encourage that. Either way, it would have generated in a profit, okay? Because not guaranteed, but had you held on long enough, potentially you could have had a profit. Now, this is just one example that was generated just about 3 weeks ago, okay? Once again, we provide this as a service for an educational service so that we can educate you. We do not tell you how to trade. We do not tell you what and how you should be buying or selling. Now, we provide you with numerous entry, exit, stop placement points, but ultimately it's your decision. You must be in charge. So we're going to offer you the Pet Peeve course, the Master Scanner, all this other information here, all the different ways in which to apply it. But guess what? We're not going to stop there, because remember, you're going to need our platform in order to generate the scans. Now, we're going to throw in 12 months of our PTS Primo charting platform. This costs $9.55. Now, trust me, we're not going to charge you that. We're not going to charge you anything. In fact, we're giving you 12 months free of the platform with this great offer. So you're only going to have to be purchasing the Pet Peeve course along with the scanner. Now, we're giving you 12 months of our platform absolutely free. So let's break this down. The Pet Peeve and the Master Scanner would normally cost $54.85. If we added a year's worth of the real-time platform, well, we've raised the price up to nearly $6,500. But don't worry, we're not going to charge you that. We're going to drop the price nearly 40% down to $39.90. Plus, you can also have a payment plan if you like. If you can't come up with $39.90, don't worry. For a small deposit, you can still be up and running with the Pet Peeve and the Master Scanner, along with 1 year of the PTS Primo charting platform real time. Okay? So this is a great, great offer, a chance to become consistent. Let me share with you how to take advantage of this. Remember, this is for a limited time only. If you decide later on and say, boy, I think I'm going to purchase this a week or two later, well, guess what? You may be paying close to $6,500. Now is the time to take advantage of this, okay? If you want to become a consistent trader, we feel this is a great way to help you reach those goals. Here's how to take advantage of this. Contact Bros Trader Strategies. They're involved with all the discounts, all the tech support for the platform, and you can talk to one of their trading consultants about arranging up some type of a payment plan. I would strongly suggest calling them directly at area code 310-598-6677. There's absolutely no obligation. You can call them, talk to them about a payment plan, or talk to them about other discounts or other strategies you want to apply, and they will be happy to work with you. Once again, no obligation. They answer any question that you may have. Now, if you see the link here at the very bottom, this will take you to a page that has more information, and you can sign up there. But remember, that's not a live link, so go to your chat box on the GoToWebinar column on the far right. There's a live link that was just posted seconds ago, and you can simply go there, and it will take you to that informational page for signing in. Okay, but I would really strongly suggest calling Pro Trader Strategies. No obligation. One of their trading consultants will be happy to answer any question you may have or set up a payment plan. Remember, a small discount, and you'll be able to be up and running in a very short time. Okay. A lot of people are asking questions. Okay, some people are saying, will this work on commodities? Yes, it does. I'm sorry, I don't have any commodity charts, but we do have commodity data. If you are someone who likes to trade corn or commodity futures or gold or live cattle, I've traded commodities before, and we have data for those as well. So we've seen some great setups lately in coffee and things of that nature. So yes, we will provide that for you on our platform. Other people are saying, let's see, what if I already have the Pet Peeve? Okay, if you already have the Pet Peeve, not to worry. Contact Pro Trader Strategies. Once again, they handle all the discounts and all the different promotions, and they can still give you some type of a discounted price because you're already a preferred customer. And if you want the scanner, they will throw that in for a different price, at a much discounted price, because you've already got half of the platform, half of the program, I should say. And if you want the platform, I'm sure they would be happy to discount or throw that in as well. But remember, they're in charge of all of that. So if you have one of these already, don't worry. Or even if you have the platform already, they may be able to work with you. But they are the ones to contact, okay? People are saying, can I use this on other platforms like TradeStation? Sure, we can give you the add-on. Let's say you have TradeStation and you like to trade or look at the charts on TradeStation. You can get the add-on, meaning you can upload the formula for the changing of the colors in the Pet Peeve, so it'll automatically change the colors from green to red. But the scanner is only available on our platform. So you might as well just forego, the actual add-on for TradeStation and just see on our platform. Everything is so simple as well. I know in TradeStation, you have to open up the indicator box, and you have to scroll over to a different category. Then you have to scroll down to see where the Pet D is. It's so much simpler on this. If you saw on our platform displays, it's simply on the top green line there. It says Pet D. Click that on. It'll change the colors. It's that simple. So there's nothing you have to upload. There's nothing you have to calculate. It's already done for you, okay? And remember, if you're seriously thinking about taking your trading to the next level, I can't think of a better way to do this because, first of all, you have the Pet D, which is probably one of our most powerful tools at Specialist Trading and Pro Trader Strategies. I use it personally on a daily basis. This morning I used the Pet D using this. You're looking at techniques today. I had 2 winners and 1 loser. So that's what we mean by consistent. You will have losses, but the 2 trades, my first 2 trades were winners. My last one was a loss. So it's, on balance, I'm still up on the day. So that's what I mean by, being consistent. We're not going to promise you that every trade's a winner, but what you want is a method that's able to consistently generate 2-step forward, 1-step back approach. That's what the Pet D does. And once you have the scanner, then you can scan for any of these setups that we teach you. 10 total setups altogether, okay? As we conclude, I just want to thank you so much for attending today. I hope you see that we really put a lot of attention into trying to educate you. We simply don't want to come here and show you, charts or support and resistance and say, well, in order to know what we're talking about, you have to spend $10,000. We don't believe in that. We agree that this is one of our most higher priced courses and packages, but that's because we're giving you just a ton of information. Remember, all this still can be gotten with a small discount. I should say a small payment, and you don't have to actually come up with $39.90 right off the bat. You can have a small payment and you can still be up and running by today. And lastly, once again, yours truly, I will be there to answer any question. You'll have my personal email address to answer any question you may have. So take advantage of this before it goes back up to roughly $6,500, close to $7,000. And I'll be there with you every step of the way to help you answer any question, okay? As we close, I hope you got some educational information today about how we trade and our concepts. I wish you all the best of luck of trading, and mostly, I really look forward to all of you becoming students of mine in the Pet D as well as Pet D Scanner courses. Thank you so much. I shall see you next time. Bye-bye.